Hey, Derek made the sign, so it's time for me to go live. What's going on, everybody? It's Jesus Christ. Welcome to another episode of Super Deluxe Games Cast.
You're gonna make me run that fucking opening again.
No, don't run the intro again. We're fine. Fine. It's another. Derek, you want to run it again?
No, I don't want to run it again. I already did that gag on the last show. I can't.
All right.
I can't
We did it
abuse
twice. We did it twice on the last show. It's November 14th. It's Thursday. It's time for video game shit. Good evening. I almost said good afternoon. Although, I guess it's fucking good afternoon somewhere. We have a very cool guest on tonight. Somebody that I have been wanting to get on the podcast for a long time because I'm a big fan of his work. You might know him as Mike Drucker, but Derek knows him as what, Derek? What was that?
Turbo Saxophonic.
Turbo Saxophonic.
Right.
Yeah. So Turbo Saxophonic, aka Mike Drucker. Thank you for joining us, my friend.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you for having me. Sorry if I've got a bit of a cold or something.
Yeah, how dare you fucking be sick? Like, what the fuck, Turbo?
So the worst thing that's happening normal human weaknesses. Fuck.
Yeah, my God.
We're all in the same room.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The worst part.
Yeah.
So Mike, I'm familiar with your career, but I was not aware that you have received 8 Emmy nominations.
8 Emmy nominations. That's right.
I don't have 8 Emmy nominations, so you're doing a lot better than I am.
Hey, John Bud, what do you think you've done in your life that maybe even puts you
beyond that? Yeah, definitely.
I did a panel on Dark Souls at PAX once. Does that count?
That counts. That does actually.
Would
count.
I get an Emmy?
Yeah.
Would I get? I stood up. You know what? I stood up and I did the Praise the Sun thing, and it didn't get much of a reaction.
Too, sure.
But what's that?
I said you get Emmys for that. Sure.
Yeah, I got an Emmy in my heart for that.
To be clear, I've never won. I've lost 8 times. I don't have an Emmy.
You know what? It's as long as you have fun and try your best, Mike. That's that's what counts. You also were a contributing writer to The Onion, and in that regard, congratulations for today's events.
Yeah, it's really fun.
That was. I'll be honest with you. That was the moment of levity I needed in a fucking in a world we live in a world where the world didn't prepare me to hate something this much as I hate what's happening now. Yeah, I spit on that world that didn't.
But the Onion did buy Infowars, but that's
what happened
funny.
today. Honestly, that was a sign that I think we're going to be okay. It might be all right. Yeah. You also did the script adaptation for Kid Icarus Uprising, the English localization.
You co-did it with another writer named Ann Lin, just to be clear.
Okay, perfect. And Mike, if you could somehow do it again for a port.
That's how that works.
that would be.
Usually, you sit down and rewrite the same lines of dialogue for
just to port the exact same game.
Yeah. No, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with a port of
you gotta add
what is
it Gen Z lingo in this version? You gotta add skibbity. You gotta add Wiz.
Shut the fuck
up. You gotta add Ohio. Just that.
And this podcast is off to a good start tonight. And you also, just for the audience, you also wrote for The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, and you are a stand-up comic, a very talented one too, I might add.
Very kind of
yeah, so you're much fucking funnier than literally anybody else on this podcast except for Britt. She's pretty funny too.
I was about to leave, and then I was like, "Oh wait, he said something nice about me." Hell yeah!
Don't worry, Britt.
Enjoy that when it's happening.
Right?
That's your nice comment for tonight. But Mike, happy to have you here. Guys, I need to know if you're drinking tonight. What is everyone drinking?
Lean.
What?
Drinking lean?
No, this is that blackberry moonshine Britt bought me.
Oh, you got? Oh, is that Gooch Hooch?
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Gooch Hooch.
That's that Gooch Hooch. Is it good?
When your bestie offers you a bottle of Gooch, you slurp it. That's all I'm saying.
I thought I was your bestie.
I can have more than one bestie.
I'm gonna fight Britt for the title of your bestie.
I just said I can have more than one. Fuck.
Whatever, man. I don't care, dude. My feelings aren't hurt.
I'm drinking the Bowman.
Oh yeah,
I'm doing it out
the
of
Isaac Bowman.
Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you like it? Do you like the Bowmans?
Oh my god, it's my new favorite bourbon.
Oh, fucking Bowman's
honestly.
Brothers is legit.
It's very good. It's very
Mike,
good.
Mike, I don't know if you're a drinker, and I don't know if you like bourbon, but if you do, Bowman Brothers is fucking where it's at.
I should check that out. I didn't know we were drinking tonight. I didn't know that.
Oh, we're always drinking
Thursday,
on this podcast,
baby.
man.
Yeah.
If you want to, hey, if you want to run and grab a drink,
It's Thursday and it's the
Yeah,
crumbles,
I'm
motherfuckers.
gonna run and grab a drink. You guys just start the podcast over, and I'll catch up
Yeah.
where we were.
Yeah,
Fuck it.
absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
running the
Derek,
intro.
can we roll the intro
Do they-
again? We start this game off.
You didn't ask CJ what he's drinking.
What? CJ, what are you drinking?
Water.
Good
That
man.
hard shit,
Healthy.
dude. I like it. You know what? You're hydrating. You're being responsible, and
That's
I really
that
like
bitch
that.
juice right there.
That is that bitch,
Bitch
juice.
juice.
I have one beer left, and everything else is hard.
You gotta save that beer. You don't know when you're gonna need it.
What is it? Yeah, tomorrow's my birthday. I'm gonna shotgun that shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
shocking.
boy.
Tomorrow is your birthday.
Scorpio
So,
season.
yeah, why aren't you drinking?
Yeah. What the fuck,
Because I
CJ?
gotta work tomorrow. I have a long day tomorrow. I gotta go to career day, so I gotta talk to some kids about why this is a good plan B.
CJ, I noticed your background there. What's going on with those Miami Dolphins?
Christmas. This is the only one I found. Like, what is it? It's the only one I found. Like, I can get like a good background of.
All right.
You
So
know your Miami Dolphins background?
Yeah.
Because
Are you from Florida?
Yeah, I'm from Miami.
I'm from Coral Springs.
So I was gonna tell you, like, I had back in like high school and college, when I was on Twitter under a different account. You're one of the first follows I had as a fat kid from Florida. Like, I felt seen because you one of my all-time favorite tweets. There was like one where you had like the check your head Beastie Boys shirt. And you
Yeah.
You were in a Publix and you told the story about how like some woman asked like, "Hey, are those your friends? Like, if those were you and your friends?" And I'm like, "It's the funniest fucking shit I heard. That's something that would happen to me. That's something that
Florida,
happened
man.
to me." Oh my god!
Publix.
No, I love my city. Love my city.
Jesus, we have two fucking Florida men on this podcast. I don't even know what to do with myself.
3 if Finn shows up.
Yeah, we'll see if Finn shows up.
Like, yeah, you're pretty much we're neighbors. Like, you're closer to like I think any other Floridian that's been on the show. Because Josh has been on, but he's like
He's
up
Jacksonville.
north, Finn's way up north. So it's like he's in the south. Like, we're like in a whole different like country at this point.
Yeah, basically, yeah. South Florida is so different from like North Florida.
Exactly.
Totally different state. I mean, not anymore, but totally different state before.
Oh no, like it's still racist, but like it's racist in a way where the white racists don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, no. Growing up in Florida, I've had to translate for other people where people are racist against each other.
This is why I don't go to Florida. Among many other reasons. This is why
I'm in Louisiana, and they're pretty much fucking inbred cousins at this point.
Well, that's also why I don't go to Florida, is because Britt is not in Florida, obviously.
That's right.
But I do need to go to Florida because CJ's there. I didn't mean to insult you, CJ. I'll come to Florida for you. All right, let's go ahead and get into what we've been playing this week. I'll go first because I'm going to be relatively quick. I know that we dropped our review for Dragon Quest III HD 2D yesterday. Thank you again, Square Enix, for the review code, the chance to play that. Fucking awesome. Go play the shit out of it. If you love, I will warn you, as I did in the review, it's a grindy ass old school NES
Yeah, I was
RPG.
gonna ask, like, how
It's
accessible
bad.
Oh, me and Britt got to sit in the basement while John
Right behind John, right now. Actually,
just got
Just on my couch.
fucking cheeks spread by a boss for like 2 hours straight.
Yeah, it was bad. No, I think it was longer than that. It was longer
It
than
was
that.
like 3 hours. Yeah,
I'm not counting the
was-
time he took to grind. So
And like I literally had to stop and grind with my friends watching me, and I'm like, all right, I'm not strong enough. So, and then finally when I beat this,
it was a humbling experience for John.
it was.
Master.
Don't worry, it already wore
This
off.
motherfucker is like
I don't stay humble for very long.
the same motherfucker who's like, oh yeah, I'm replaying like X like RPG for like the
I mean, have you seen my fucking biceps? There's impossible for me to be humble. But no, so I finally beat this fucking thing, and we all jumped up and celebrated. And I celebrated so fucking hard, I knocked over my whole ass drink of Mountain Dew all over like a charger, all over
He
like
dude
my
it like a true gamer.
I dude the shit out of it, and I had to unplug all my shit because there was fucking watery Mountain Dew all over the place. Yeah, but yeah. So go into this knowing that like, and having finished it last night, we got a review out, and then I finished it because that's how I do it. It's again, Britt, 3.5 hours in the fucking coach trying to finish the game, trying to beat 2 bosses. I wanted to like get
it got
my
so
car.
bad. Like John's wife Vicky
Like-
was hanging out with us, and she was like, "I can't listen to this music anymore. I'm going to bed." Like she got so sick of the boss music.
Last night trying to beat this fucking game. Like I was like, I want to get in my car right now and bring the Switch with me and just drive it off a bridge abutment. and just like, and so when they find me floating in a watery grave, they'll know why I did it. Like it's because of the
like 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 I would give this shit. No, like I fucking loved it. It's just hard as fucking shit. Yeah. And I haven't like, this is very much
Speaking
an NES
of masochists,
game.
like
this is very much an NES game that looks beautiful now. Like that's what it is. So go into this knowing that it's absolutely not for everybody.
So it's not a beginner Dragon Quest.
I was gonna
No,
say
play 11.
and I'm out.
Yeah.
So no, but CJ, there are different. So you can bring it down to Draggy difficulty, and it's impossible to die. So like, I didn't know that, and I was like, fuck, that could have saved. Like I could have just done my grinding on Draggy difficulty.
Finish that like in time for the review. Like you wouldn't.
I'm so fucking pissed at myself, dude. But I have also been playing Tetris Forever. And I got a code for that from Chris Kohler. Thank you, Chris. And as somebody who like I would put Tetris I would put the Tetris Effect in my top 5 games. I love Tetris. I love everything about Tetris. This is and Mike, I know that you wanted to talk about this as well. This is a fascinating playable documentary of probably one of the 3 most important video games ever made. And I believe it's the first time that you could actually play that electronica version in the West. And honestly, like that was one of the biggest appeals for me. I was like, I get to play, like I'm finally getting to play, like if anybody's seen the movie Tetris, when I say the electronica version, it's that green version that Alexei Pajitnov created in the 60s with like, the green brackets. Well, not the 60s, but like, like the early 80s. But yeah, I don't know why I said the 60s. I'm all fucked up. But
hell, we're old now. We're old now.
I know, dude. I know, man.
The past seems
so fucking
longer
old.
ago.
Jesus Christ, the past is. So like it's like basically it's literally a documentary that you go on down the line and you watched it, and then when it talks about that particular version of Tetris, it lets you play that version of Tetris, and you don't have to go through the documentary to play all these. They're kind of right there, but just an absolutely fascinating slice of gaming history.
Oh my God.
And Mike, feel free to jump in here, but like you will learn so much more about Tetris playing Tetris Forever than you will watching that movie, which is an amazing movie. But
it's a good movie. I think what I also liked about one, it's part of if any of you is listening, it's part of Digital Eclipse's Gold Master series. Also, thank you also Chris Kohler for a code who I texted on election day asking for a code.
Oh, that's rough. Chris, please.
The day after election day.
I was like, buddy,
he's most
Chris,
likely to be
please.
drunk. Come on.
please help me dull the pain.
But I will say I've bought all their previous Gold Master series, and their Atari 50 is kind of the prototype for the Gold Master series. So if you like that, but they've done one about Karateka, which is the guy who eventually made Prince of Persia. They did Lamasoft, which is very weird. So I think this is the 3rd/4th one. What I really liked though was how happy it is. The documentary is so happy. Like obviously there's ups and downs and there's challenges, but like. Honestly, it was really nice this past week to have something where it just seemed like a happy story of like 2 guys who are completely different but bonded over their love of games. And it's a very sweet documentary. Like the Karateka one and the Atari one and the Lamasoft one, they're all really interesting and they're really in depth. But this one just feels like very like sweet in a very nice way. Like you love the friendship between Hank and Alexei.
You know, Mike, I'm so glad you mentioned that because that is one of my favorite things about the origin of Tetris is like when you read these stories, like you read the story about like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, right? Like they just annihilated a friendship, right? Like you read about all these tech giants who go into business together or create something together, and 9 times out of 10 they have a fiery blowout and they never speak to each other again. Alexei Pajitnov and Hank Rogers to this day are the closest of friends. And that to me like just wraps up the utter wholesomeness of Tetris. Like it just puts an exclamation mark on the whole thing. I love Tetris that much more because their friendship is so tight and so strong.
To your point, Mike, it's insane because there's like an actual arc in this game. Like there's an actual story being told, right? And it's all real, but and the game is like feeding it to you with like actual like walls of text and videos. But it's so much more endearing, right? Because it's you know, every game now is trying to sell you like on its like emotional merits via like stories, and I like that this one is like selling you on like the emotional merits based on like, no, you're playing this game that's like endured longer than anything, right? Like you think of Tetris, everyone knows what Tetris is. Everyone my dad is like better at Tetris than I am. Like it's that thing where it's like, you know, and these like clips like showcase that opening quote is the hardest thing I've ever read in a video game. Like it's what is it? It's like everyone will still be playing Tetris, or like
once the other games are gone, everyone will still be playing Tetris.
Yes.
Oh my god! Do you know what that is? Like fucking big dick swinging up like right here. I'd like to say this is the only game that will exist. Like incredible, absolutely incredible, absolutely bold. One of the best, like one of the absolute greatest games I've played all year. I can't.
I'll also say one interesting thing about it is I'd say 90% of them, 95% of them are Tetris games that were never released in the US. So you have a ton of, not just the Russian one, but you have a ton of Japanese versions because of the weird licensing. Nintendo had the Tetris license outside of Japan, but Bulletproof Software / Blue Planet Software / eventually the Tetris Company had the rights in Japan until the late 90s. And so you're getting a lot of like Super Famicom Tetris games we never got, the Battle Gaiden game where there's like magical effects. So it's weird because like if you're like, is my favorite Tetris game in there? The answer is probably no, but there's a ton of other games where you're like, oh, I never knew this existed until just now and I love it.
It's funny because like I've gotten so used to playing like for the last like 4 years the Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 on Switch, and I'm like, it's fine, but like I hate the gimmicks. I'm like, let me just get into like a real like Tetris game. Then they re-released the Game Boy version on Switch Online. Great, but you know, it's in black and white. It's very limited. It moves way too slow for my taste. And then here I'm excited. Cool, they got the original NES version, but you know, I've never ever been able to dive into like the weird like Super Famicom ones. Man, Tetris, like the Tetris battle games. Holy shit.
Well, and like, you know,
oh my god.
One of my you know, the way I describe Tetris, or like I think like the best way to describe Tetris for me, and bear with me because this is going to sound weird, but Tetris is much like the Great White Shark. And what I mean by that is, hold on, Derek, it's going to make sense. The Great White Shark has never had to evolve. It has, for millions of years, it has been to do what it does. It is not needed to change at all. It is the perfect apex predator.
John, are you delivering a monologue in a sci-fi
channel?
Shut the
fuck up and let me finish.
John, we are not your students. You don't have to put that dog in us.
Let me finish, nerd.
I would have gone with horseshoe crab.
What? That too. The horseshoe
or cockroach.
Consider the lobster.
Look, the noble. Listen. One, I will never disparage the noble horseshoe crab. First of all, okay. Second of all, Tetris also has never had to change. It has never had to evolve beyond what it is. There are other, and I don't think there's a single other franchise that you can say that about. The Mario games have evolved over time. Final Fantasy has evolved over time. Pac-Man has evolved over time. You know,
Qbert.
You know, even Qbert like has fucking evolved over time. Like, you know, but Tetris, I cannot think of another game that fundamentally at its core has remained constant since the 80s. And it's simply
Snake's pretty good.
it doesn't need to shut. You know what the fuck I mean, Derek? Like it does not, and has not, and probably will not ever need to change. And so that quote, CJ, that you were talking about, that pops up before, where it says, when all the other video games are gone, Tetris will still be here, right?
I was talking. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like it literally will be at its core. It will never, ever need to change, ever.
It's because it's like every iteration of Tetris, like I said, it has like there's always some gimmick introduced, and I always feel like the gimmicks or the attempts to evolve, quote unquote, always kind of detract from the main experience, right?
Whether it be, I kind of agree with that.
And so that's the thing. Where like again, Puyo Puyo Tetris is a perfect example, right? There is a solid Tetris mode in there, but it's kind of bombarded and kind of like brought down by like fucking anime bullshit and like all these weird power-ups. And I remember going to this barcade here with Christine, and we were playing like Tetris on like an arcade cabinet, but it's the original NES Tetris. The problem was it was kind of like locked by like a time limit and some weird like rules, and I'm like, I'm pissed that I can't just play a good version of Tetris on console or like anywhere else. It sucks that I can't just play normal boring ass Tetris unless I'm at my work computer. I try not to get caught.
There is another Tetris on Switch, one of the arcade ones. They mentioned in the documentary.
Yes,
the one where the blocks solve.
Arcade Masters, the arcade
They have that on Switch.
No, okay, because I was like debating on buying that or Pole Position on sale. I bought Pole Position instead. But
if you just want like a Tetris ass Tetris.
Exactly. No, and I've always hovered over it. Because I'm like, oh yeah, I need Tetris. But then they announced the Game Boy re-release, and I'm like, okay, that'll hold me over. I don't need to spend $8 right now on on like some old arcade game, right? When this came out and I got a review code, I'm like, all right, I won't need another game, I guess. Like I won't need another game, I guess, for the rest of my life.
No, yeah, I absolutely, I fucking love. I think Tetris Forever is just such a cool fucking experience. And some people might quibble and say it's not really a game. It's more of a documentary where you play some Tetris games. And I would look at it as a collection of Tetris games that you normally would never have gotten to play, along with what I consider to be an incredibly common or an incredibly compelling story. But like I've never seen a collection of games done like this before.
Yeah.
And I just think it's an extremely fucking cool way to present Tetris, to present Tetris in forms that we normally would never have experienced. Like I was playing that electronica version. Did I play it for hours? No. I mean, it's like I played it for 10 minutes and I was like, I want to go play a regular old Tetris game. But it is fascinating actually seeing and experiencing where this work of art came from. Because I mean, Tetris is just art to me. Like it is art in motion. And so yeah, I cannot gush enough about how awesome Tetris Forever is. If you love Tetris, or even if you just like Tetris, you owe it to yourself to go pick this up.
If you like video games, if you respect this medium in any way, like if there's like anything in
it's a bold assumption to be honest, but
yeah, I know, but it's like, it's still a relatively new medium. It's still a relatively new like thing, right? Like and there are very few like works that are like chronicling, okay, this is the history of like a said series, a said game, even the medium as a whole. If there's any little bit of curiosity in you, like this, you owe it to yourself to take a look at this. It's the closest we're gonna get to like one of those perfect like Criterion collections of like one like director.
Yes.
Like, those big like.
Oh, it's a good comparison.
Like those big Igmar Bergman box sets that they have. It's like this is like the closest you're gonna get. You're gonna get like of like Tetris. Like it's
this makes me wish that more developers would do this for some of their more storied franchises, like fucking Street Fighter or something, right? Or like Final Fantasy or fucking Dragon Quest or
like, like
or Mario, like
Pac-Man or like the original Donkey Kong, like stuff like that, where it's like you can't get like an arcade perfect version of a lot of these games. Like there should be a way to like access like stuff like this.
I will say they didn't. That doesn't have interviews, but Digital Eclipse's Ninja Turtles collection has like all the manuals. It has all the boxes. It has a lot of ephemera. So and they just released a Worms collection for Worms Armageddon. It has interviews. It's a much shorter documentary, which is why I don't think it's part of the Gold Master series, and it only has Armageddon for, the remake of Armageddon and the one for Game Boy. But it also, like, if you're really interested in that series, but Digital Eclipse is really doing good work.
Yeah, they absolutely fucking are, and I am so thankful to Chris for dropping me a code for this. I find it very funny, Mike, that he dropped you a code on election day. Like that's just that to me is just no for sure. Like it's just like the perfect moment to ask for something good. It's like I was we won't even get into that. Mike, aside from Tetris Forever, what have you been playing this past week? What have you been playing recently?
I've been playing a lot of Metaphor, which I'm sure everyone has discussed at length in the podcast, and I've been playing a lot of the Castlevania DLC for Vampire Survivors. Ode to Castlevania.
I need to get down on that.
You do.
It's such fun, mindless gaming.
Oh yeah, so I've played Vampire Survivors. I have not touched the Castlevania DLC, which is weird because I'm a massive Castlevania fan.
It's good. They do right by it.
That's cool. Like that is really fucking cool. Vampire Survivors is one of those games where it's the simplicity of it is what makes it so complex.
Well, there were 30 million clones like the day after it came out. You know what I mean? And that's how you've hit something. So
yeah. Like I absolutely need to I need to get on that castle. Like I got so. Mike, the problem is that there's just too many fucking games to play right now. Like there's so much shit out there, and it's like it's a good problem to have. But I just finished Dragon Quest. I'm gonna go back to my 1,000-year door replay. I've still got Mario and Luigi to play through after that, and then I've got Fantasian coming out next month, and there's so much fucking shit to try to wrap my head around right now. Derek's going to get some more Gooch Hooch. Britt, what have you been playing this week since you got home from our fundraiser?
Well, during the fundraiser, like on the plane and shit, I was playing Balatro and Princess Peach Showtime. I started Princess Peach Showtime before I left. And I talked about it briefly like on the charity stream, but I don't think I've actually talked about it on the actual show, so I'll go into that for a little bit. It's one of those things that's just been in my backlog. I wanted to stream it first because it's a Princess Peach game and I thought that would be fun. But then eventually I was just like, fuck it, I don't have enough time to stream and like stream consistently, so I started playing it. And I like it, but I can definitely see why it did not score the best. I think the premise is a really cool and fun idea. I think the execution wasn't as good as it could have been. Simply because what?
And because I was going to tell you this, because I was thinking about, because I bought it at launch, right? I think Christine got further into it than I did, and that's like sad. But the first thing I thought of, it's like it's not a platformer. It's essentially like a weird Kirby game.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That's a pretty interesting way to describe it.
It reminded me more of Luigi's Mansion than like a platformer game.
That also too, yeah.
Also true, yeah.
Yeah, so going into it was already like what I wasn't expecting. And the levels are really short, so I don't really feel like you get to utilize the power-ups that you get through like each stage. Granted, I'm not too far into the game. I beat like the first base floor, and I'm sure I unlock other jobs and stuff, and I get to use other things. But my biggest complaint, and I did talk about this at the charity stream, was that it is not completionist friendly. So if you want to go back into the level and like collect all the collectibles and shit, you have to go through the entire level. You can't skip any dialogue.
Ooh, I don't like that.
You can't leave the level once you collect what you need. So it's like you just have to keep grinding that same level over and over again. And there's some like that aren't even based on like skill. Like when she becomes a chef, like you decorate cakes and stuff, and you have to like. It's like Cooking Mama, right? You got to like flip the stuff so it doesn't burn and all that kind of shit. And a lot of that stuff is just like luck based. So if you fuck up like once, like you got to go through the whole fucking level again. So I think it's a fun game. I think it could have been better. And I think they marketed it weird. Like again, I think a lot of people went into it thinking it was going to be a platformer, and it wasn't really. Also been playing Balatro, of course. I'm
Yeah,
I will never not be balls deep in that game.
I was gonna say like that, just like the sun rises, the fucking in the east and sets in the west, and
Brits out here Balatro
I've got that
maxing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like Brits fucking playing that Balatro.
I'm also playing because of all of our Final Fantasy 14 talk. I picked up 14 again, and that's been really, really rough for me going through Dawn Trail and trying to complete it. It's the least. So Stormblood is my least favorite expansion of 14, and I think I like it less than Stormblood.
Wow.
Which makes me really sad because it's
I loved it.
9 heavily 9 influence. So my whole thing is like they again, almost like Princess Peach, is like they juke jived you. They presented this expansion as it's going to be one thing, and then halfway through it, they completely changed the story, the narrative. Like,
there is a big swerve, yeah, like for sure.
It's a big swerve, and I'm really hating that Yoshi P is so heavily influenced by the sci-fi aspect of Final Fantasy. I think sci-fi is a good portion of Final Fantasy as a series, but
I like steampunk tech in Final Fantasy, but like,
yeah,
I like my
no, this is beyond. This is
correct.
Way beyond.
That's the problem.
Like,
I think.
yeah.
It's like, and I don't want to spoil it, but this essentially like the part that I was just like, this is fucking miserable, and I don't want to play this, but I'm gonna keep playing it because there's a Final Fantasy 11 raid, and love Final Fantasy 11. Was the part where you basically people are invincible and they can basically raise up by being like cyber necromancers.
Yeah, they have those regulators. Yeah,
they have like a little thing on their head, and they basically just suck up souls. So if you die, you can use that soul to revive. It's too much, and like there's Cloud.
Yeah,
there's like Cloud, and it's just like this is so far more sci-fi than I wanted in a Final Fantasy game, especially one that starts off in an area that is very primitive comparatively, and that really bothers me. Is that like you spend the first half of the expansion learning about all of these tribes and their cultures and how they do things, and you basically become a better leader because you're learning from your people and their traditions, and then it's like, oh, fuck all of these things, they're primitive, it doesn't matter because sci-fi future tech is going to come in and just fucking dominate it. And I'm like, it makes me feel really uncomfortable, because like as a society, what is that game saying about countries that are actually in that state, right? Like that do have traditions and don't have as much as we do with tech and the things that we have. So just like that really rubs me the wrong way. And then I'm just like, we are like Alexandria exists in this expansion. It's very 9 heavily
but not in the way you might think. Like it does, but it's
well,
I can see why you would be frustrated the way that they implemented Alexandria here.
Well, it's like it's not Alexandria. It's not like it's Alexandria has Alexander in it, but Alexander has already been a boss in Heaven's Word, which was the second expansion of the game. So there's just it's
tonally it's off.
It's just the vibes completely shifted halfway through, and I wouldn't be so mad about it if they hadn't already done a futuristic like techie storyline, and that was with the Alligans, and that was a really done storyline. So comparatively, this just feels really bad and unnecessary. So I'm trying to push through it. I'm trying to get through it. I'm trying to do things that I enjoy in the game, like I'm doing crafting and leveling up side jobs, and just trying to kind of balance my disenjoyment with enjoyment and what I'm getting out of the game. But yeah, I'm not enjoying it, and it really it makes me mad and it frustrates me because there's nothing more than wanting to like something that you're passionate about and then you just don't fucking like it. Then you're just like forcing yourself through it, and it's just like it makes it worse, right? Like because you want it to get better and it just doesn't.
I feel that way about Derek constantly. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm just kidding. Oh, put your headphones on. Britt, you got anything else before I kick it over to Derek?
You might not be able to. You
Maybe. Did I kill him?
No,
So,
I'm back.
Derek, speaking of Final Fantasy 14, what have you been playing this week, buddy?
Oh, you
this
fuckers
is
got
what
me
I've been
to,
waiting
you
for.
fuckers
This is
got
what I've
me
been
to
waiting for.
try
Fuck
Final Fantasy
yes.
14.
Fuck yes, he's in. He's hooked now.
I don't do MMOs. I've never done MMOs.
Yeah.
I very briefly, like, I think right when Heavensward came out, tried FF14 and bounced off it hard. But you fuckers convinced me to go back.
Yeah, that's my fucking man right there. Yeah.
And
ignore everything I'm saying about Dontrell and just like it's all up from here, Derek. It's all up from here. You just got to get through the fucking.
he's gonna get through a Realm Reborn. Here's the thing: is I don't, and I've long resisted doing this because I don't feel like I have the time to do an MMO. And my concern is like the amount of time I dump into this game is several other games that I could have played and experienced. But I am a big, like, long-time Final Fantasy fan. And this is potentially a game that I can play with a couple of my closest friends. You know, and is somebody who, like, I have a lot of anxiety around playing online games. But as something that will enable me to maybe continue connecting to some people that I'm very close to, while I'm physically not very close to them, that seems really important to me. So I'm like, I'm going to give this a shot. And it's definitely been hard because, like, my experience with the first couple days of playing it, and I know that I have to hit a certain point before I'm actually getting into the social parts of the game where I'm like doing dungeons and raids or whatever with other people, or we can like decorate houses together or some shit. You know, I want that stuff, and it's going to be a bit before I get there. And right now I'm just running from NPC to NPC and fighting a couple of trash mobs and leveling up 5 times. Yeah, fighting some ladybugs.
Look, listen. I need to make soup for my dying grandfather, and I need 10 ladybug carcasses.
Yeah, can you go collect carrots?
Like,
can you get me 4 bear asses? Like,
please.
What the fuck is Final Fantasy 14?
That's just any fucking MMO, though.
I mean, that's
like,
exactly. That's an MMO.
Please, there are villages on the
run amok.
My sheep. Our village is on the verge of starvation. Our children are dying. If you could kill 10 boars and bring them back,
yeah, that'll fix everything.
We could eat them hoof to tail. Can
you please kill 30 to 50 feral hogs on the outskirts of Western Thanalin, please? But so, like, it's been hard because the thing that I want is the thing that I can't have right now. So while it's not making things any worse, like, I was texting Britt the other night and I was like, it's weird how this is not helping. Like, playing the big MMO is actually not doing anything to help my, like, feelings of not, like, being connected to people. But, like, I know I'm gonna get there, so I'm just gonna push through. And despite that, I've had a lot of fun so far. You know, even just so far, I had fun making my big edgy boy. Even if he's got to wear like a fucking duvet for the first 30 levels. It's been really fun. Britt discovered that she can DM me and I can't DM back because I'm on the free trial.
Tonight. I got to do this shit tonight. Yeah.
So Britt has been just full shit talking me, knowing I can say nothing.
I'm going to spam you with the worst bullshit.
His life, please. Someone do it.
I will. I'll do it tonight.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Because if anyone needs to be
just
knocked down,
boy.
if anyone needs to be knocked down a peg or two, it's fucking me, right?
I will write it for you guys. Like, I don't like.
CJ's like, I want this fucking white boy dead.
Derek, you only think you feel inadequate. All right, wait till I'm done with you.
We don't even know how bad can my self-esteem get. Let's find out. The other thing that was really funny is it was really funny to run into. I had my first experience running into a character who, like, I mimetically know is a major character, just because there's certain names that I've heard over and over and over again.
Was it Thancred?
It was Thancred, and I didn't know it was
Thancred.
I
said, this is Thancred.
Yeah, and I run into him, and I'm just like, oh, that's an important character, because that's Taliesin Jaffe. Like, I recognize Percy de Rolo anywhere. And it turns out,
I hate to break it to you, bud. The worst part is Urianger is voiced by Balthier, and after the first expansion, they get rid of all.
I
these
did
voice
read that a
actors.
bunch of voice actors change.
Derek, who? Rollo Tomasi? Who the
Percy
fuck did you say?
DeRollo from fucking Vox Machina, Critical Role. Jason Derulo.
Right, obviously.
John, you
guy.
watched the first season of Vox Machina with me.
Yeah, and I didn't watch the second season.
There's a third, and it's also really good, but that's beside the point.
I
Derek,
started watching it.
It's good. You'll really like it.
Derek, I'm not the fucking guy who watches Vox Machina and goes, oh yeah, Rollo Tomasi, that guy. I know that voice. He was
the voice actor's name is so Taliesin Jaffe has been all over the place.
No, he's Rollo Tomasi now.
But anyway, so the point is, I recognize, and I was like, this motherfucker's going to be important because it's a guy whose voice I know, and it turns out he is. Also, it turns out Thancred, bit of a hoe, bit of a man hoe.
Oh yeah,
so
dude,
I respect
Thancred's
that.
A slut.
Yeah, hey, you know what? My kind of people.
He gets a lot of negativity, but I like Thancred.
You know what?
I think he's a cool
he's
character.
very nice to those two ladies he's trying to have a threesome with in that cutscene. So
I like Wook Lamont because I think she's a
Respect.
good leader.
John's trying to fuck that cat. I'm telling you.
I'm not trying to fuck a cat, dude.
I am also trying to fuck a cat.
No, I'm not into that furry shit. CJ, what are you playing this week? And then we'll move on to our big topic.
Yeah, so this week, aside from Tetris Forever, again, great game. I was gonna say it's my game of the year, but man, I wasn't playing this week, but I reviewed this and I haven't had a chance to talk about it. Sonic Shadow Generations, baby. I have played like a total of like 6 or 7 new games. Like that's it. I have been like out of like I can't.
Same. I barely fucking play any games.
Yeah.
I have no time. Most of the games I've played are ones I've reviewed.
Fucking
so this was a
Overwatch.
review code. Okay, for me it's Madden. That's it. I'm done. I'm out, and I suck. I suck. But Sonic Shadow Generations. God damn it.
They got me.
God. No,
They got me.
Sonic Generations 2011, one of the greatest games in the series, hands down. Maybe one of the greatest platformers of all time. Like desperate need of a remaster. So I was excited. I'm like, okay, cool. Because I played the game initially via backwards compatibility, but it's a lot of the issues still that like the game had still kind of persisted. Frame rate was like kind of rough. I think it was still limited to like 720p. All this stuff. This game drops. Very excited. That Shadow Generation is a whole new game. It's a whole other game. So you're playing through like Sonic Adventure 2 levels, Shadow the Hedgehog levels, and they're all like redesigned. You get like a hub world that's open ended. I don't know. It's so good. It's so good for a sickle like me who's memorized every single like Crush 40 song. Like it's such a good release.
Dude, of course I'm autistic. I can sing along to every vocal song that's ever been in a Sonic game. Like
Sonic Christine.
Sonic here.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
All okay.
Hey
Real
kids,
quick.
Sonic the Hedgehog here. Just remember,
upstairs
bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.
I'm upstairs making these fuckers gumbo, and all I hear is their fucking Sonic voice for like an hour straight.
Yeah. So Mike, last week for our thank you for calling me sir, Mike. Again.
Yes, sir. Of course.
Don't do that.
So last week for our charity fundraiser, Britt was upstairs, and it's gonna sound real. It sounds real bad on the face of it that like Britt was upstairs making food, and like all the boys are downstairs playing video games. But I promise, she wanted to.
I cooked so much that whole trip. Like I promise, this was not a.
But
wait, I'm not a man either.
On her behalf that she was into
words
it.
when you explain it.
Yeah, I realized as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, that could come off really
Sign
bad.
a waiver and agree with everything he's saying right now, just so you know.
Yeah. So Britt was upstairs making gumbo, which was fucking delicious. Britt, it fed me at work for lunch all week this week.
Oh, good. I was
fucking loved it.
Also, my tacos, leftover tacos.
Britt, Vicky was out of town this week. I fucking destroyed all of it. I destroyed it. I was like, she's not getting any when she gets home. But so Mike, we're downstairs playing
Sonic Adventure 2.
Yeah. And so Britt is upstairs, and all she can hear for like a solid hour and a half is just the three of us going, Sonic here. And like I wonder at what point, like, Britt, at what point did you just want to like slam your face on the stove?
Hey,
just
can't
write down
steal
the
your
words
mom's
you
credit
say.
card.
Yeah, Britt, I didn't I imagine that must have been one of the worst hours you've ever lived through, and so I deeply apologize for that.
Because I wasn't with you guys.
Aw.
Oh, Britt.
Yeah, she was slaving away for a bunch of white men.
Shut the fuck up, CJ. keep talking about your video. All right, CJ, what else you got?
CJ's right,
Anyway.
though. I mean, CJ sounds like he's on the side of the angels with this one.
I mean, he's not on the face of it.
I made
like, he's
everyone
not
pork carnitas.
wrong.
God damn it! Like,
Hey, I smoked a whole turkey for everyone.
You did.
Anyway,
I brined that
Sonic.
shit.
Sonic
Like,
the
anyway.
Hedgehog is my friend, and I love him. Shadow's my friend too. It's a
Right.
really solid, like, it's one of those things that I mentioned in my review. It hasn't gone up yet, but I mentioned, like, if it was just a remaster of Generations by itself, well worth it. Again, one of the greatest platformers of like the last 20 years, remastered, brilliant. The Shadow stuff, it's a whole other game. So it's like there's incentive for people who've already like played through all Generations to come back. There's incentive for people like, you know, my age who like grew up playing like Heroes, Adventure 2, and even, you know, those poor souls who played Shadow the Hedgehog. Like they have something there, and I love it. It's everything, right? It's super self-serious in like all the ways that, like, all the best ways that Sonic is. It's incredibly lighthearted. I'm not a huge fan of like the Genesis era games because of like the way I don't like Sonic's weight in those games. I think Mania kind of perfected that, and Superstars perfected like that. I'm a fan of like CD and beyond. I'm not a fan of like 1, 2, and 3 as much as everyone else is. Yeah, no, I can't.
You're a fan of CD, but not of.
CD is such a like it. Okay, I'm not talking about Sonic right now.
We got to talk about this sometime. That's wild. I'm so curious.
The thing is, I'm
not judgmental. I just don't understand.
I grew up playing. So Heroes is my favorite. Like, because it's the first one I played. That's it.
Okay.
That's literally it. It's the first
That's
one
fair.
I played.
Yeah,
It's
fair.
it's the if they ever remade it, I'd be done, because I already got the Pro Skater 1 and 2 remakes. I already got like if they remade Sonic Heroes, I'd be set for life. It's like the only thing that's missing. So then I'm not a big fan of Adventure 2. I really don't like Adventure 1 as much as everyone else does either. And I never got to play the Boost era games because I didn't own like the right consoles for it at the time when I was like with age. The last 3D Sonic game I played before Mania, or last Sonic game in general, was 06, and that soured everything for me for like a long time.
Yeah.
So this was my history lesson for like all the stuff that I missed. The music in 06 is great, so they have it all there. You can listen to His World from a fucking jukebox in the game, uncensored, which is the sickest shit in the world. So all you Zebrahead fans out there, it's there. It's there for you guys. Oh, it's there for you guys.
Fucking Derek in chat, suckling pig is what they used to call me back in college. Shut the fuck up, dude.
that joke's never going away, guys.
Mike, there's all kinds of shit that happens in our chat. Like
I know it's an inside joke. I get that much.
no, like it's just
He just
yeah.
anything he could take a sexual innuendo out of, he goes.
You are not the one. You are not the fucking one to judge me on that. You are worse than I am.
Oh, I didn't make it a theme. The whole thing.
All right, CJ, got anything else before we move on to our topic
I
on
just
it?
gotta say, we needed this.
We needed
We needed this.
What?
We needed this.
Is that Sonic Adventure 2 is with the Chows, isn't it?
Yeah.
That has the Chow Garden. Yeah, there's
Love that game. My favorite fucking game. I'm even more mad that I missed it now.
All right,
Chow Garden. I just need a whole game of that shit.
So we do have a topic tonight. Like Derek said, it's been a slow news week. And obviously there's not a whole fucking lot else that has gone on in the world. It's been a pretty quiet throughout
couple
the country.
of fucking weeks, right?
It's been a couple of really boring, non-eventful weeks for sure. And so I think Derek had a good, solid idea for what to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
Derek, why don't you go ahead and kind of fucking kick us off here?
Me? Sure.
All right, fine. I'll do it. Do you want me to do it, Derek?
I got it.
Stop complaining.
I wasn't complaining. So my thought process was, one of the things I wanted to talk about was in times like these, right? I mean, everybody feels like shit after that. And everybody with a fucking heart feels like shit after that election. We're all worried about what's to come. It's a scary time. Most of us are trying to both keep like one eye on literally everything that's happened while also keeping our head completely buried in the sand because we're just drowning in this shit all the time. So I wanted to talk about what our relationship with like games and like art generally is in a time like this, right? Like what is this medium and similar art forms mean to you in times of hopelessness?
What's your brand of escapism right now? Like, how does that look for
or
you?
is it escapism at all?
Yeah.
So I can kick us off, right? Because I and I talked with Britt and I think John both about this somewhat, that like my immediate reaction to the election when a lot of people were panicking was I got very resolute, right? And I very immediately hit the attitude of I'm going to be a cockroach who crawls out the other side of the radioactive rubble. I'm going to survive this shit and I'm going to drag as many people as I can with me. And it despite it at first feeling like horrible timing that we all got together in the day like after that election, for our get together, it ended up being very meaningful to me that we got together and played a bunch of video games and found community with each other, but also raised several $1,000s for a really important cause. We raised over $2,500, I think over $2,600 for the Palestine Children's Relief Fund, which was, regardless of everything else going on, regardless of how scary everything else felt, like
Right.
the thing I kept saying to everybody that weekend was like, Derek Van Dyke could have done nothing to change the course of this election, but Derek Van Dyke did help raise money for Palestinian kids in need.
Right.
Derek Van Dyke did help make.
We did something,
Yes.
right? It's so like when you're
Right.
feeling so powerless in a moment, like we did something.
And I comforted friends
yeah.
near me who needed it badly. And I received comfort from friends who likewise were in pain. And in that way, like in the shallowest form of seeing gaming as an art, because we were picking oftentimes intentionally silly or bad games, we utilized that as a way to do good and find comfort in each other. And that was very much in line with, completely by accident, very much in line with the attitude I had naturally coming out of, Wednesday morning. So
Derek, I actually want to kick this over to Mike because I think Mike is in, this, what happened last week and kind of it's going to ripple out and affect people in different ways. And I think Mike, it affects you in kind of a way that is different from some of the marginalized groups who are on this podcast. Because I mean, like
definitely, I'm not even top 10 worst affected.
But you are still affected because, like, for example, like I think out of everybody here, I'm the least affected, right? I'm a straight white guy.
Yeah.
Mike, so are you, but you work
I'm bi, but it's, close enough without going over. It's like The Price is Right.
Well, my apologies. I didn't know. But like you also work in journalism. You work in comedy.
Kind of.
You work in what you make jokes for a living. You write jokes for a living.
I make jokes for a living.
It's weird how the intersection of entertainment and journalism is so blurred these days.
And like there is definitely, I think, the opportunity for a chilling effect on political comedy.
Yeah. Definitely.
Going forward, right? Like, because we all know that the president-elect does not like being made fun of.
Yeah.
He fucking hates it, actually, and he has said numerous times, like we need to start taking broadcast licenses away and stuff like that. So Mike, like I'm wondering, like, one, how does that affect you on a professional level, and two, like, what are some of the games? It doesn't even need to be games, like just games or movies or like any kind of medium that you use to kind of maybe not escape, but I guess for lack of a better phrase, just hide for a little while. Go ahead. I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah. I mean, professionally, it's hard in the moment just because the industry is suffering anyway. So it's hard to see what direct effect it'll have. I definitely think it's going to spook, a lot of people, and it's going to probably make them want to make fun of him less, or, shave off the edges even more than some might say have already been shaved off. And yeah, I could see that. I also think in another way, there's just so much fatigue as much as, in 2016, people were like, oh, this is great for comedy. It wasn't. It was not good. Like, yes, there were shows that did politics, but there were so many other topics we could have been talking about. And the fact that there's 4 more years of it, I think that it's audiences are just going to get burnt out on it. So I don't know what it's going to look like. I do think it's going to have an effect, and I do think the fact that he's threatening outlets is going to spook producers into maybe being easier on him. But I'm not inside a show at the moment, so I don't speak for any of them, and nor do I know that. That's just I could imagine. I don't imagine the shows wanting to do that. I imagine network executives calling them up and being like, "Hey, can you make sure that you don't do this or you don't do that, just so we don't get yelled at by the president of America." So I could see it having that effect. And as far as me, I've always liked making things. I think that's why I like doing writing, and why I did stand up. It's things I can do myself, kind of. And make myself. And I think with video games, it sort of plays into that. I'm more of a single player RPG or, indie game about a robot that wishes it was a little boy or some shit. But I like games where I feel like I can make a decision, like Baldur's Gate 3, the fact that it felt like I really did have agency in that world. And right now, this art form is giving me that. I mean, I know Metaphor, since it's a JRPG, is much more linear, but I do feel like I have an impact in this world. It feels, not like escapism so much as it gives me an outlet for all the powerlessness I feel maybe on a political level. I know I can still help, I can volunteer, and I will be doing all that. But, as far as just emotional powerlessness, I feel like a lot of these games do give an outlet of some sort. So right now, I think that's how I'm relating to the art form. And on the other hand, there's things like Tetris Forever, which is reminding me of why I like this art form and why this art form does matter.
That's important. I think that's important to bring up.
Yeah, and that was all happening around the fall of the Soviet Union. So that was cataclysmic times 2 for kind of a bunch of people. So you can kind of sort of see, I don't know, that as well has sort of made me relate to the art a bit more. It's made me appreciate it, the making of it, but also just the belief that it should be a thing and is important enough to try for.
Mike, it's funny you mentioned outlets, and this is a question I want to pose to the whole group. Anybody feel free to kind of chime in on this. I feel like a lot of games that I play in situations like this, they're very situational. What I mean by that is this weekend, I'm going to start a Wolfenstein playthrough.
I was going to bring up fucking Wolfenstein because I'm itching.
I want to kill some fucking Nazis.
We got that Indiana Jones game coming out.
I got that
fucking Nazis.
I got that Blazkowicz in me right now.
Yeah.
Do you guys find that the games you escape into, or even the shows or movies that you escape into, are heavily influenced by what's going on in the world around you? Or do you have that handful of comfort, whatever, these 3 or 4 things that you're like, this is my fallback, this is what I fall back on, and I'm good with that?
So on the one hand, I did just say that I want to get into I also want to replay some Wolfenstein. Also because they're good ass games, right? And they're just good games, and they don't take long to play. So it's you can get some good catharsis in a short amount of time. But also, I play games for story a lot, more than almost anything else. I'm here for narratives, I'm here for characters, I'm here for that experience of an art form more than anything else. And good stories about struggle tend to be about an underdog facing against an oppressive, more powerful force, right?
Like Final Fantasy VI, when the Returners fought against the Gestalian Empire.
All fascism is commonly the enemy. We're 61 minutes in, and we're at Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah.
But video games. So many games that I play are going to feel relevant to this moment just because that is the nature of human storytelling, right? Is that something deep inside of the artist's soul recognizes that the fascists and the despots and the dictators and the tyrants are the people to struggle against, and then it is the downtrodden and the underclass who need to band together and find solidarity in order to overcome that. Like that's just one of the most arch, like 80% of stories are ultimately going to map onto that if you take it to a broad enough, like zoomed out enough view. So
Yeah.
I'm going to find that catharsis.
It's interesting because like in the same kind of relevant thing that I started playing through The Last of Us, the very first one, when COVID was happening. And that was a weird kind of, it was interesting to play through that at that time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like as far as like for me personally, I feel like we've been dealing with so much of the underdog rising up against a bad person or a bad group, and it's just like it's too much for me now. Like I feel like I can't do it anymore. Like I can't pretend and live out these scenarios that get good happy endings because it feels like consistently we're not getting that happy ending.
Yeah.
We're not getting that payoff that you do in the games, you know? So it's really hard for me to play or watch things that kind of coincide with what's going on right now, which is why so often lately, you know, I haven't, like, you know, CJ said earlier, he's only played a handful of games this year. I've played less, and it's just because I can't focus. Like my brain cannot focus on a single player game right now, and it's like I don't have friends here where I live. I don't have anybody to kind of take comfort in during these times. So in the downtime when I can play and do things, I play multiplayer games. Like I play Overwatch, I play Fortnite, I play 14, you know, I play MMOs, I play WoW. You know, there's been so much of that I've been doing over the last few years, and it's strange because while it's comforting, I also feel like I'm left out because I'm choosing to not play new games. I get FOMO really bad, really often. And it's just like it's weird, right? Like you have to kind of pick and choose like your mental health over like forcing yourself to play a game because everybody else is playing, or knowing you want to play a game and knowing that you're not going to stick through with it because it's too much, or you know you would rather just hang out with friends, you know. And it's like that has been my life over the last several years. And on one hand, I hate it, but at the same time, it's like I'm surviving and I'm living, and I get to spend time with people who want to spend time with me, and that's really what's important right now. Is I surround myself with people who want to be around me and that I feel safe around and that want to protect me. Because I don't feel like I have that in real life, not just politically, but just in general. I don't have friends here. I don't have people that I can go to and rely on, you know, other than my spouse. I don't no. I'm moving back home to Washington State if I can. But yeah, no, that like fine. And so like that's just the thing, right? Like that's my way I've been coping through everything. It's just with y'all on Thursdays, and when I don't have y'all, I go play Overwatch or I go play a multiplayer game. Because I cope through other people.
I will download and play whatever you want me to play with you.
I don't want you to play with like Overwatch with me. It's fine.
Well, fine. Fuck it. I don't want to play Overwatch
with you
either.
I want you to fuck off.
Hold up, I've played Overwatch.
I was lying, Britt.
It's too aggressive for me. I feel like I'm on a fucking like football team. Like
I did learn some things about Britt the first time I played Overwatch.
Shut the fuck up!
It's like, why are you guys mad at me? I'm just trying to play too.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
Britt's normally aggressive with me, but it just hurts even more.
So I'm not gonna invite anybody to play Overwatch with me ever again. Thank you guys.
I enjoyed it, but
I will say like
that insecurity.
One of the reasons I don't think I play a lot of multiplayer games is almost the flip side, where like people will be like, no, my friend group's great. And there's always someone that's like, whatever, man, I'm not going to treat you good. And I'm like, why are you mad at me that I'm here?
Yeah.
I immediately bounce. I immediately bounce out of that, usually the game.
What a fucking what a dickhole thing to do. Like that is so fucking lame. Like
that person is Brit.
There's always like a mean person.
That person.
You know.
I don't know who the mean person is.
She'll be back. It's not your fault, Mike. It's CJ's,
No, it's
but
my
she'll.
fault.
It's the bit.
She'll be
We
back.
all do it.
She'll be back. No, like so. Let me
You know,
ask you
Britt
guys
was
this.
always nice to me when we played Overwatch. Not when I played FF14. Again, as I stated, Britt did just shit talk me in FF14, but she was very nice to me when we played Overwatch together.
So
Your friends, it's when it's like a stranger who's like meeting this group for the first time or joining in for the first time, and you're rude to them immediately. It's like, I don't want to do this with you. I'm not your friend yet.
yeah.
Don't
Well,
do this.
well,
We're not that close.
Well, no, and that's one reason that I also like. I tend to not play multiplayer games, whether or not like the world is collapsing around me or not. I tend not to play them with like. I definitely don't go into lobbies because anybody who knows me knows I've got a little bit of a temper thing.
Really?
And it, you know, sometimes my temper gets the best of me. I always mean well, but the moment I hear some fucking bigot online, like I just kind of can't help myself. And I say some pretty rancid violent shit to that person. So like and the last thing I need right now is for my stress levels to. It's Brits in chat. Yeah, don't play Overwatch with Derek or CJ, then they'll label you.
Oh, come on, Britt, get back in the fucking call. Oh my god.
But let me ask you guys a question.
Night.
And I would ask Britt the question too, but she's not fucking here anymore.
Yeah, that'll definitely make it better, John.
When
Louise.
shit gets really hard, like we're living through some really scary, uncertain times right now, right? Like for everybody, regardless of who you are, like you know, if you don't align to a certain way of thinking, then things are understandably difficult and scary for a lot of people right now. They're scary for me, and I'm not even one of the people who's really at risk here. When stuff like this happens, I tend to play games like Metroid or Dark Souls that are very atmospheric, very lonely, very oppressive atmospheres. And I do this because so many times in my life, like anybody who knows me knows that, like, you know, I did a lot of work in Iraq and Afghanistan, especially Afghanistan. I was on my own quite a bit, like, you know, running sources and stuff like that. So I find that I thrive in environments where it's just me against the world. There's something comforting in that, right? There's something comforting in that blanket of, you know, it's me in this oppressive environment, and all I have to rely on is myself. And it's a weird thing, I know, to be comforted by, but one of my favorite moments in any game, and I have a save file in Dark Souls, and I did it just a few days ago after everybody left. You know, after all my friends left, I was very depressed about, you know, that and everything happening in the world. If you know anything about the Demon Ruins or the Tomb of the Giants in Dark Souls, there's a place called the Tomb of the Giants. It's completely dark, but when you reach the end, there's this rocky overcrop, and you can see what you find later are the Demon Ruins. It's just this glowing lava, this magma in the distance, where you can see, like, you know, these stone carvings in the walls. And aside from, like, you know, like the kind of the rumble of far off lava falling, that's all there is. That's all you can hear. That's all you can see. And I will literally go there to just zone out. I will load up that save point to just zone out. I don't know why it comforts me, other than it's just a place where or just, like, you know, it's just one more place where I can feel solitary. And I know that might sound depressing, but like, do you guys have weird, like you know, ways of coping in games or other media that other people might be like, well, that sounds depressing as shit. Why would that make you feel better? Like, or am I just
like everything about how I play games, I think, does that.
Really?
I'm in like a dark apartment that's like surrounded by like weird little arcade machines. It's a nightmare.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. That's fucking cool. Hey, that's you're
Nightmare.
I'm gonna die when this falls on me, and someone will find me in 5 days.
I have a giant, heavy Pikachu poster I stole from when I worked at GameStop. That shit falls on me, I'm dead. So I get it, Mike.
I should put something heavy around that'll kill me if it falls on me.
I'll be over soon.
I mean, I could just come over with my sledgehammer.
That's less fun.
I could hold it above your head, and like I could be like, Derek, my arm's getting tired, man. You still want to be there?
Put me out of my misery, man.
See, this is what I mean in chat. Somebody says when I'm feeling stressed, I play Ghosts and Goblins to calm down.
That's totally fair,
right? Like you wouldn't normally, because Ghosts and Goblins is a hellscape game that I've never made it past the first level.
You know what's funny? It's like back when I was playing video games like regularly, that it used to be
back when I was playing video games on this video game podcast.
Dude, I'm telling you, and it's funny, like all this stuff about coping with games. I've learned to cope without them. Like I've like essentially healed myself out of like needing to play everything. Britt, that FOMO you feel, 100% valid, because I still have it like in the back of my head, right? There's a few big releases I want to play. I still want to play Dragon Quest. I still want to play even that fucking Mario and Luigi game. Never interested me, but something about it, right? Like I got Mario Party, but that's more casual because Christine wanted to play it, right? It's little things like that. And then but I've completely like kind of detached to like the point where I'm like, all right, this thing that I used to love is like killing me, because I used to be like, oh, it's this constant obsession, right? So back when I used to do it regularly, it used to be Call of Duty. Used to be Ask Justin, man. And
yeah, dude, I remember you talking about the lead up to like Black Ops Cold War, and how you're just like, I know I'm gonna play this game, and I know it's gonna call me a slur, but like I'm gonna play it and love it anyway.
When Modern Warfare 2 came out, like the 2022 one, that like, okay, so that like I was playing that shit like, man, I should have made money off that shit. Like I was all in. I did every daily. It became like a thing, and I would play it consistently. Get pissed, get angry, but it was like the thing I would do, because after a long day at work, I wanted nothing. I wanted to do nothing but like hop on, turn my brain off for like 2 hours. That's it. Call it a night. Now I kind of do that with sports, but even then it's like that's still a little bit more involved than what I used to do. Like I don't have, like I can't start a video game because my mind just kind of races, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I can't play story-driven games anymore. Britt, I completely understand you. I can't do that. I cannot like sit through a tutorial. I can't sit through exposition. I can't sit through anything. I downloaded Spider-Man 2. Why did I do that? That's 100 gigs on my PlayStation. It's not getting used. I'm not touching that shit. I'm not touching that shit. Like I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Like the only games I played this year are racing games, sports games, Tetris, and Sonic. All right.
I mean, that's what you play. That's what you play in a good year, though.
That's exact. That's a good year. But that's it. Like that's it. Like I think the only like that's it, right? But that's sort of how I've been like, you know, kind of like the very thing I criticize the PlayStation for, having no games. I'm like the biggest perpetrator of that shit. I don't have any games for the shit. It's my 2K machine. It's my college football machine. It's my 4K player, and that's it. and that's it.
That's kind of how my brother is, though. My brother's like the same way as you. Who went to UM, by the way?
I'm going to UCF now, but but that's, I've sort of become that, right? I've become like the guy who's just like, I'm going to work and I'm going to school. I'm you know, I can't do this. Like, I can't sit and like relax by playing a game that's like yelling at me in 30 different like languages. Hey, do X thing, do this thing, do this thing, do this thing. Nothing has interested me. What came out this year? Like, well, I bought Dragon's Dogma 2. I have not touched it.
Dragon Age just yeah.
Dragon Age. I haven't touched it. Look, Dragon's Dogma 2. I spent like 3 hours crafting the most perfect Latina like character in the world.
You would.
Brilliant. I'm proud of myself at the detail that went into like creating that character. I haven't done much. That's it. Like that's all I did. Like I deleted.
I mean,
the
to
game,
be fair, it's Dragon's Dogma. It's skippable, but
yeah,
still,
right.
like I see what you're saying.
All right.
It's like Moby Dick. Everyone's pretend they read it.
Yeah, like Derek's the only person here who's actually played Dragon's Dogma.
Far Cry 2.
Yeah, I'm like wow. I'm one of the internet's few just Dragon's Dogma super fans, and
you're a fucking
there's
sicko
dozens of us.
But like it's that thing now. Sorry, Gilbert.
No, go ahead.
No, but it's just this thing, and I'm sorry for kind of dragging and like going back and forth, but it's this thing where it's like, yeah, what used to be the main hobby has become like the most paralyzing choice I've ever had to make, like at night, right? Get out of work, I'm home at 6:30.
Yeah, it's too stressful to like think about what to play. So I'm just like, I guess I'm fucking playing Overwatch. Like,
what is it? So here's how much time I have, right? On a Monday, I can't, because what is it? There's football on 8. I get home at 8:30. I can't. On Tuesdays, TNT has a game on. Can't. All right, Wednesdays, we're kind of clear. I come home at like 6:30. My choices are either I could play I could play like 2 hours of like either the crew mode or fest. I could play some Madden. I could play some 2K. I can do something in like a block before I know I'm tired and I'm out. Right?
Yeah.
With the exception of like stuff I'm reviewing, that's sort of what I've had to pick. And it's to me, it's like the most unhealthy way to cope, because how the hell do I cope from like that choice paralysis? How the hell do
it's choice. I think that's a big thing that I've developed over the last few years is choice paralysis.
Right.
I don't know what to play anymore. And it's like I don't know how to justify playing a game anymore. Like I don't like me wanting to play a game doesn't fucking matter, because I want to play lots of things. And I can't make the choice of what I want to play Dragon Age Veilguard so fucking bad.
You told me that too. Weren't you playing the first one? It's like recently, like to do something.
You tried to.
Yeah, I tried to. Again, so here's the thing, and I told this to Derek. It's hard going back to Dragon Age after playing Baldur's Gate 3. I think that's a good comparison.
Yeah,
I can imagine. That's a fair assessment.
Yeah, so it's like I want to replay it, but at the same time, I'm like, if I do this, am I going to be miserable? Is it going to change how I feel about the game? You know, because I love the first Dragon Age. It's my favorite. You know, I want to try replaying Inquisition, but again, I run into the same problem. But then, you know, Inquisition is so closely tied to Veilguard that I'm like, what do I even want to play Veilguard without having like? And it's like at some point I gotta like get out of the mindset that I don't have to play predecessors to enjoy a new game. Like if I don't have time for it, then I just need to fucking play it. So it's that I think that's where I'm at right now, and that's where I've been the last few years. Is just choice paralysis. CJ summed it up perfectly. It's just like when I finally do have a chance to sit down and play a game, if I don't pick something right then, I'm done for the rest of the night. I'll be on my phone.
Well, isn't it also hard, like, to be, because if it's part of your professional life as well, there's an added layer on top of that, where it's not just like, this is my hobby, I'm tired of it, or I'm changing. It's almost like, I know professionally I'm supposed to have played this. Personally, I want to play this. The only thing that makes me feel good is this.
So,
and that does sort of like, you know.
Exactly, 100%.
I've been out of like the hunt for like trying to like, you know, work in the industry, right? Been out of that for a while. I take on a few codes I write and whatever, but like I've been out of that. You know, I change gears, all this stuff. So now games are like the last thing I think about like during my workday. You'd think that's like the better, like, okay, finally I can enjoy this thing as a hobby. Nothing, just dead, because I've dedicated so much energy to trying to make it the thing, to make it the center of my world. And I think that's
right.
And you hit on a good point there. Like it's true. Like, right, you would think it's harder to like balance it if you're like, what is it? Because you have to play certain things. If you're not done with one thing, you're wasting time by like jumping onto the next thing, which is the worst, right? I played enough of Tetris forever to like write my review. I'll sit and write it, so I don't feel bad like now. Like if I decided to like after the show hop on something else that's like just to, you know, kill some time, I'd feel fine. But any other day like that, the only games I'm playing are usually the ones I'm reviewing. So I would feel terrible, or I'd feel like, like I'm wasting time. I'm not enjoying this thing as I used to. I keep telling myself, like, Thanksgiving, I'll find the one game I'll play and run it through that weekend, right? Like, I'll run it through that, and that's it. Like, I have no faith. I have absolutely no faith.
And King's Quest 5. It'll be King's Quest 5.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. You're just giving me a game. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Dude, I
3 hours with a walkthrough.
I unironically love King's Quest 5. Like, I'm a big King's Quest and Quest for Glory guy from way back.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, so I think that just sums up with my way of coping is I wish that I could cope how I want to, which is like just, you know, I think ever since COVID started, right, I was like, oh, I'm going to have so much time to do more things and play more games, and I feel like it doesn't work out that way. So my way of coping with everything in gaming is to give myself more grace and just do what I can. So if that means I play Overwatch for 3 months straight and don't play another game, then that's what it is.
That's what's up.
Well, and that's Britt, what you said really kind of like resonated with me, and I just want to, you hit on something that I really want to touch on, and it's that, you know, I have found myself falling into this trap that I am thankfully recently breaking myself out of, and it's that I feel like I get FOMO to the point where like I'm either supposed to play this game, I'm either supposed to play it, or I'm supposed to love it because, like, for example, it's an RPG, and if I don't love
Final
it,
Fantasy VI, yeah,
right, exactly. I mean, I love Final Fantasy VI, and it's the greatest game ever made. But I see what you're saying.
It's a very good game.
I wish I could get there, John. You've really oversold it for me, and I think that's the
Pro
issue.
Skater 3. I will never play FF. I'm sorry, I bought it. I can't. I'm sorry.
And that's fine. You will never join me in paradise, and that's all right. Like, I just won't see you there.
Good game.
I just won't see you there, and
Your
it's fine.
Paradise has Kefka in it. I don't know how I feel about that.
Hey, you kill him eventually. But like, here's the thing. I got 50 hours into Metaphor. And I found myself just not fucking liking it at all for reasons that aren't even
50 hours into it though. That's pretty fucking.
But here's the thing. I was playing it about 15 hours past the point where I realized I wasn't having fun, and I kept fucking playing it because
the last time you talked about it, you said you were enjoying it a lot.
I was up until a very certain point that Derek and I have talked about where it's not important, but there was something in that game that all of a sudden made it not fun for me anymore. But I kept pushing on because I was like, I'm supposed to like this. It's an
should talk about this more. Like, I feel like that's very common.
Well, like,
to just kind of like play something.
I was curious what part that is because I'm around that point and I wonder what I'm curious.
So Derek,
in oblique terms,
we can talk about this in non-spoiler terms. I can thread this needle as somebody who hasn't played the game and was only described this to me. There is a character, a character with a very very there's a prominent character,
sexually suggestive,
very flirty personality, who you the player are clearly supposed to like see in this sort of light. And it turns out their like true form looks like a 4-year-old. I mean,
that's like me being like, well, there you go.
Yeah, it's some real.
Like,
it's
they
some
had to
real.
Put something in there
That's what it was, CJ. That's what it was that spurred the thing I said.
You know what? I saw the hint at that, so I know what you're talking about because I've seen like the breadcrumbs leading to that, and I've sort of been like, okay.
And I hate it because I already give like Fire Emblem a ton of shit for always having the like 14-year-old girl who's secretly 1,000 years old, and like this is
it's
so
anime
bullshit. It's anime bullshit, which is funny because I've been watching anime more lately.
I'm a huge weeaboo, but it doesn't matter. I hate that shit.
Mike, it was like the most Atlas bullshit ever, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna push past it because it's a JRPG, and I'm supposed to love this, right? I'm supposed to love these JRPGs, and I kept playing it, and then finally, around like 15 hours later, I was like, I'm not having any fucking fun anymore, and I stopped playing it.
Stop playing. Yeah,
50 hours in, and the thing is, this is what entertainment media kind of does to us, right? Like, I felt bad for not liking it for a while until I realized how fucking ridiculous that was. And I was like, I cannot fucking like something on my own terms. And so I just posted, I was like, I stopped playing Metaphor because of this bullshit. I don't like the fucking game anymore.
Because a character made a blowjob joke and then turned out to look like a fucking toddler. But the thing,
I have not seen that blowjob.
It's bad.
I didn't clock it.
But people were like upset at me. They were like, "Oh, John, it blah blah blah," and I'm like, "Look, I'm allowed to not like something." And I have found, but the thing is, Mike, is like, for so long, I realized that I have pushed through numerous games to the end, despite not liking them because
you did a sunk cost fallacy also because you were like, I already put 40 hours into this.
Well, not but like even games that were like hours in, I'm like, this isn't my thing. I don't like it. Like I did it with Sea of Stars. Full disclosure, I did not enjoy almost any of my time in Sea of Stars. It just didn't mesh with me.
That's fair. I only played like an hour and I was like, I bounced off it.
Didn't you give it a glowing review?
What's that?
Didn't you give it like a glowing review?
No, at first, for the first couple hours, I was like, this is fucking amazing. This is awesome. This is exactly what I wanted. And then I just stopped having fun. And I went through the whole game.
Trail.
And I
was
tried
giving it glowing reviews. I loved it.
Well, and the thing is like I tried convincing myself that I loved it. I was like, no, I'm wrong. Like, like I absolutely fucking loved this game. And then after the fact, I sat down and thought about my time with it, and I was like, I didn't enjoy myself. Why did I continue to play that? And so what I've learned recently, and what I'll tell everybody listening, is that you don't have to play everything.
Yeah,
you don't have to love
that's
everything.
fine.
Like it's perfectly fine to play a game that you think is in your wheelhouse, that you think is in your comfort zone, and just drop it because it's not jiving with you. It's totally okay. And that might sound like a weird piece of advice, but it's a trap I found myself falling into until very recently.
It's thank you. I think that needs to be talked about a lot more, and that we don't, as a podcast, talk about, right? Like, I feel like we should have a what we've been playing and a follow up on what we played, like, the week before or whatever, and just like how we're feeling. Because
what haven't we been playing? Like
one of the best lessons I ever learned is learning to drop a game, right? And that's hard to get into that habit of being able to be like, I don't care that I paid full price for this game and I'm only a quarter or halfway through it. Like, I'm good. I'm out. You know.
Well, and I think I'm the reverse. I will. Sorry.
No, Mike, please go ahead. I want to hear it.
I will like be like, all right, screw it. I'll buy this game and support it. And then I'll play for like an hour and be like, that was $60 I shouldn't have spent. But like, I should get out of that habit, but it's way too easy for me to bounce from a game. Like even games I'm enjoying, I'll get like 30 or 45 hours into something. Then, either because I feel like I should play something else, or just like, it was a week between games, and by that time I had forgotten everything that had happened in the last 45 hours. Like, I will bounce off stuff way too easy. Like, I think I'm sometimes part of the problem.
Well, like, I don't even bounce off something and you try to go back and then you're like, what, do I have to restart? Like, what do I do?
That's happened to me before. Yeah.
You play something incredibly similar and you're like, okay, wait, nothing feels like right. Like there's like one button doesn't do the thing that the other game did. And you're like, all right, shit's not enjoyable anymore. I'm done with this.
Honestly, you know what I think a big part of the problem was for me? And I don't know if you guys can relate to this or not, but I think a big reason that I'd found myself pushing through games that I felt like I was supposed to like and almost tried to force myself to like them was because I felt like I needed to be part of the conversation on social media. Right? It's like I have to, like, this is the zeitgeist.
Yes.
I have to talk about metaphor because everybody's talking about metaphor. So I need to be part of this conversation. Until I fucking left Twitter and all of a sudden it's like the brain worm is gone. Right? And all of a sudden I don't need to be part of this conversation. I really don't. And I feel like once people learn that, like, it's okay to not be part of the current thing. It's okay to not have that seat at the table where you're like, I'm talking about this fucking game because everybody else is talking about it. It's okay not to do that. And once you realize that, it is going to be so much easier, I think, for people to be like, I don't have to waste 40 more hours of my life on a game that I am forcing myself to play at this point.
Yeah.
Like, just to talk about it. And I felt like that was one of the worst things about Twitter to me. And it's one of the reasons that I'm so glad that I chose to leave and not look back, is that, I feel freed from these conversations, and who knows, right? Like as Blue Sky grows, like maybe that'll, maybe that brain worm will worm its way right back in. But right now, I don't feel compelled to like, play a game simply because everybody's talking about it.
Post a thread about Digimon Rumble Arena 2 instead. Like,
I'll do that, Derek. Absolutely. Like,
so I made this. I don't remember who I had a fucking conversation about this with at the charity stream, but I said that not everybody gives a shit about what you have to say.
This is I think a couple of us, because I know I was there. We were in the living room.
What is it? According to Derek, I tweet to no one about sports. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so what I'm saying by that is, it's like how freeing it was to let go of like all of the shit that's going on, like all the drama and everything, and like for a while I felt like I had to make a stance. I had to post something. I had to, let my opinion be known. And now I just don't give a fuck, right? Like, if you want to know my opinion about something, you can come talk to me, or I'll come talk to you. Like,
what's your opinion? What's your opinion on Mike's hat? His Silent Hill hat.
I thank you. Oh my god, thank you so much for bringing it up.
I said earlier, I think it sent me to the actual Silent
Hill with the fucking Seinfeld fucking logo. I was gonna bring it up at the end of the show. I love it. I want it. Where did you get it? It's so fucking good. I
genuinely saw it on, like, I think one like Redbubble or one of those sites that like has like random things.
It's
I don't know. I think I was like searching for Silent Hill on some random like fan type shit site, and I saw this and I bought it. So I genuinely have to just say like
It's
Google
somewhere.
Silent Hill Seinfeld logo. I'm sure it comes up.
Yeah. No, it's
Much like
really
Silent
good.
Hill itself. If you go
I've
out
been
wandering,
wanting to,
you may
like-
find it.
Ever
Yeah.
since I fucking like hopped on, I was like, "That's a solid ass hat. I want to
Thank
talk
you.
about it," but I have not found an opportunity.
Thank you very much.
That is a really good fucking hat, Mike. That's a
Thank you.
really.
What's the deal with these mannequins?
What? I suddenly turned into Charlie in the Box from Rudolph, but I was close.
Laura walks in all dealing with PTSD. And it's like
Yeah.
like
Well,
she just comes bopping in.
I crossed the line, James.
Across the line, James. By the way, real quick before we start signing off here, Derek, have you played any more Silent Hill 2?
John, I finished
have
it.
you? Oh, you beat it.
Yeah.
Britt, what about you? No.
I can't do it. I told you I can't do it. It's too scary. I
It's
do
so
not
good.
remember.
Remember, John,
being
we
too
talked
scary.
because I talked about how like
Right,
recent
okay,
life experiences
yeah.
have changed my opinions on James.
I
and his
remember that.
situation.
Yeah.
I will say that playing the game. So, like, when I first experienced the game, I watched my friend play through it because at the time I couldn't play through it, and apparently now I can't play through it again. But it's interesting going through the game and knowing what everything is referencing to and means. Like, when you fucking stick your hand into a hole to grab a key, it's like, oh, this is fucking gross! Disgusting! Like,
And it makes
Go to jail.
it makes the noises. It's got the squelchy noises like.
It's like, and I talked about it when I streamed it. I was like, it's so interesting playing the game and knowing like the foresight and what the euphemism and whatever everything means is it's so good. Zach is going to get the game, and I'm going to watch him play it.
Acceptable.
That's fair.
Yeah, no, totally fair.
But I can't do it because I'm a weenie and it's scary.
I believe in
It
you,
gets
Britt.
so much worse, Britt. That's the
I
hard
know.
Oh,
part.
it does. Well, yeah, Toluca Prison is a real
That
joy.
took years off my life.
Some guys,
But, we
they're
will-
real mean to you. They're real mean to you.
They're not nice to you in Toluca Prison.
They're not nice folks there.
They're very, very strict. The inmates and the guards both. We'll go ahead and start wrapping up here. Mike, thank you so much for joining us, man. Like, you have been an
course.
absolute delight to have on. You're a funny guy, but you're also a really cool guy.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And go follow Mike on Twitter at Mike Drucker. Or even better yet, go
I just
follow
did.
Mike on Blue Sky.
Yeah, I did Blue
Blue
Sky.
Sky,
on Twitter.
Threads.
I did,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, even better. Go do it. Fuck. Don't. You know what? No offense, Mike. Don't go follow Mike on Twitter. Go follow Mike on Blue
Wow.
Sky.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there you
I was
go.
like, no, yeah.
Yeah. Fuck Elon.
What if you
go,
ate shit?
Elon can eat shit.
You
Go,
ate shit.
no, Mike. Seriously, man, you're a
Thank
super
you.
cool dude, and we
Yeah, it was nice to
greatly
meet you,
appreciate.
sir.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely,
fun.
dude. This has
Pleasure
been,
as well.
like I said,
Thank you,
I've been a big fan of your work for a long time. So this was really cool. We have we got the end of the year coming up. We got you can go watch our watch or listen to our Dragon Quest III HD2D review. You can watch the review on YouTube. You can listen to the review on Spotify. We got some more reviews. We got more games coming out this year that we will be dropping reviews for. All those games are redacted, but if you think about the releases coming up soon and the kind of
I
games
don't even know what you're
codes for,
talking about anymore. So
you can figure out which games I'm
it's
talking
been a
about.
hard
Reviewing
couple
Abandoned.
weeks, but
We got it.
Yeah, it has. I'll tell you after the stream, Derek.
Yeah.
But guys, listen
GTA
up.
6.
Absolutely,
No, it's not
yeah,
GTA 6.
GTA 6.
Oh yeah,
I
that's gonna be me and
works at
CJ.
Nintendo.
That's
So
gonna
I
be
actually-
me and CJ.
I got
I
Monster
actually-
Hunter 3 months
I got-
early, baby.
I actually have a review for. So I'm actually reviewing Agent in January after it releases. I'll also be reviewing Mighty Number 9 on the 3DS. Or is it the
Yikes, I'm
Vita?
sorry.
One of those
I'm
games
sorry.
that's still listed as coming out. I know it's coming. Listen up, guys, real quick before we go. Times are really, really difficult and weird and scary out there, especially for people who aren't like me. And it's something that I have to constantly remind myself. Is that as fucking pissed off and fucked up as I am about the way shit is going in this country right now, you got to remember, if you're like me, you know, it's a lot worse for a lot of people, in ways that you can't possibly fathom. And I'm really thankful for not just for the good friends that I have, the family I have on this podcast, but what they have taught me about empathy and being able to understand the perspectives of other people. So do yourself a favor, if you're like me, if you're just another straight white guy, consider the fact that other people are just as scared as you, and they have honestly more justified reasons to be so. And practice a little empathy. It's something that I think has been in short supply over the past year, and something I think, frankly, we could all use quite a bit more of. So do something kind for somebody who is frightened, if you can. Be there for that person. And if you've got people in your life who aren't you, or who aren't you, Jesus Christ, if you have people in your life who aren't like you,
John, not all of us have people in our life who aren't us, unfortunately.
Well, you know what, Derek? I'm trying to fuck you. You know what? Everybody, but you know what? I'm gonna look out for everybody but Derek Van Dyke over here. This fucking asshole. Like, what?
The biggest lie. That's the biggest lie you've ever told me.
Yeah,
What?
It actually is, because like everybody knows that I would literally take bullets for Derek. And I'd be like, hell. Maybe I will. Who knows? You know.
Take us offline.
All right, listen up. Kindness costs nothing. Take care of each other. We'll see you next Thursday.